This is part 3 of lecture 8, covering chapter 8. I'm still having difficulty with my microphone, and so I've just gone back to the old mic. Best laid plans of mice and men. Sometimes we just have to roll with the punches. Anyway, we just have this one learning objective left for this evening's lesson, and it is number 5, which is automobile insurance coverage. Your insurance on your automobile, the cost is going to be directly related to the coverage amounts that you choose, and factors such as what is your vehicle, where's your place of residence, and what is your driving record. So if you have tickets, it can make purchasing insurance higher, and if you have too many claims, your insurance can actually be canceled. And if you have canceled insurance, it's going to put you in a high risk bracket, which will really be a problem in trying to obtain insurance. Only certain insurance companies will give you that, and can really be very costly. So let me share a really quick personal story. At one point we had someone working for us in our home, and we had given them a car to drive. So my husband had a vehicle, I had a vehicle, and our person who was working in our home had a vehicle. My husband forgot that my sister-in-law had parked behind him in the driveway. He opened up the garage door and backed out without looking and backed into her. And then a couple of weeks later, I had a little fender bender on my way home from work. And then a couple of days later, our person who was working in our home had a little fender bender when she was out running some errands for us. So we had 3 accidents against our insurance. And even though we hadn't had any claims at all for a very long period of time, like I'll say 10 years, then we had 3 accidents within a really close period of time. And they canceled our insurance. Thank you so much for my insurance company. Which caused us to then have to go back to them and say, okay, we would still like to buy insurance. It put us in a very high risk category, and the cost of our insurance quadrupled. And we had to stay in that high bracket. I think it was 3 years before that finally fell off and we were able to purchase reasonable price insurance again. So be very careful about the decisions that you make, the company that you go with, and be careful about having tickets or accidents against your driving record, because it can definitely negatively impact what you have to pay for insurance. So in choosing dollar amounts, earlier we talked about the 100, 350 policy and what that meant. And basically this is to protect you in case you are ever sued, that you might have enough money to cover damages. Other factors that are going to impact how much you have to pay for your insurance premium is going to be the vehicle that you're driving. How new is it? Of course, the newer it is, the more expensive your insurance is going to be. The make, the model, and how often that car is stolen is going to impact your insurance rates. Where you live and the vandalism rate that's in the area where you live is going to impact it, as well as driver classification, which includes your age, your sex, your marital status, your credit history, yes, your credit history, your driving record, which we just talked about, your driving habits. So if you have not owned a newer car before and you make a purchase to buy a new or almost new vehicle, I would recommend to you that before you buy the car that you check to find out what your insurance rate is going to be for the coverage that you feel like you need. And the reason for that is that I'll tell another personal story for you. My brother, whenever he was in the Navy, he was excited to have enough money to finally buy a brand new vehicle, and he bought a very nice car. And then he found out that after he bought the car, that the insurance on the car he just bought was more than the car payments were, and he could not afford both. So he ended up having to send the car home to my parents, who put it in their garage and parked it there for him until he was able to afford both the insurance and the car payment at the same time. So he literally ended up making car payments for a period of about 2 years when he didn't get to have the benefit of driving the car, because he couldn't afford to put full coverage insurance on the vehicle, which was required. So he had to park it, which caused it to be a lower rate of insurance, and then he could afford to keep the vehicle. So do your homework and make sure you know how much buying a newer car is going to add to your policy rates from what you currently have. The slide tonight is to compare insurance companies, because rates and service vary among automobile insurance companies. Among companies in the same area, premiums can vary as much as 100%. So the best way to keep your rates down is to establish and maintain a safe driving record. Drivers under 25 can qualify for reduced rates by completing a driver's training program and maintaining good grades in school. And that's a good thing because one of the things that you can have to pay a higher premium for is your age. And if you're under 25, you probably are paying a higher rate. So qualifying for any type of reduction, especially when you're in that bracket, is a good thing. Every 22 seconds in the United States, a car is stolen. So installing devices to do like fuel shut off, second ignition, alarm system, any of those things that will help to decrease the chance your vehicle is going to be stolen is going to help with your comprehensive insurance costs as well. Finally, choosing to go with a larger deductible will help your insurance rate as well. If you're going to go for full coverage comprehensive insurance, just by selecting a $100 deductible can actually impact your coverage of your rates by the cost of your rates by as much as 40%, which is really pretty incredible, meaning that rather than the insurance company taking 100% of the risk, you're willing to pay $100 deductible if you have a claim, and that can greatly reduce your premium. And I know that some people take even larger amounts, like $250 to $500 deductible, just to keep the rates down. So consider your alternatives whenever you are making your automobile insurance premium choices. And that concludes our 3-part lecture this evening. Don't forget that the PowerPoints are posted for your use, as well as I do have some supplemental videos that you might want to look at as well. And as always, I'm available to you should you need me. Thank you so much for being patient with our 3-part lecture this evening, and I look forward to visiting with you again next week.